David, we had quite a few boxing events this weekend. Let's go ahead and start off with the top rank event because PYP was present. We had the Manhattan Mexicano on the Chamba in Gotham City. Let's go ahead and start off with Foster. There was a lot of fights. Let's just jump right into Foster. Foster does it again, man. He comes on late and he wins a definite 12th round. He got another knockdown in the 12th round. How does he keep doing it, man? He keeps coming back and winning late, David.
Yeah, he's got that clutch gene. And, he's that guy who, if you're down a couple points with 5 seconds left on the clock, you want the ball in his hands. That's Shock Foster, man. He comes on strong late in fights, digs down deep. And when he got that knockdown in the 12th round, he pretty much sealed it for himself, won that round outright, won the round that he needed to close the fight out. But you got to give some props to Nova. Nova fought really hard. He gave a really tough performance. He just didn't have the gas tank to close it out. I do want to make one note about Foster. It didn't have to be that way either. You heard some criticisms of Foster leaving a lot of meat on the bone, meaning he lets a lot of rounds kind of pass and gives them up essentially. And he did that with Nova. He allowed Nova to get in and steal some rounds where neither of them were doing much. What I'd like to see Foster do more of is be aware of those rounds and try to take those rounds. Don't just stand in front of your opponent. Throw some jabs, or 30 seconds left in the round, throw some flurries. Try to take that round, get that round scored in your favor. That way you don't have to depend on these last-minute heroics to win a fight.
Last-minute heroics, man. It's fitting. He's from Clutch City. He keeps coming back at the end. I think what Foster's best attribute is he doesn't get tired down the stretch, man. He seems to always outlast his opponents. And coaches say at the beginning of your careers, it's always that old saying, whoever gets tired first usually wins. It seems like he's outlasting everybody, man.
Yeah, well, I think really it's a question of heart, if you think about it, because hearing Foster talk after the fight, Mark, he was saying that he didn't have energy during the fight. And so he essentially was already tired at the beginning of the fight, but he didn't lose. And that's because Foster has that heart, man, where he can dig down when he really needs it and outlast his opponents. He has a hell of a second wind. His trainer admitted that they had a tough weight cut. Foster said this himself. I can even verify it at the weigh-in. We saw him after he was flexing for the photos and the camera ops. After he got off stage, man, he left the area immediately, and he looked like he didn't look good. He didn't look good. He looked kind of drawn out, and I don't think 130 is going to be in his future very long. I know they want to stay for a couple more fights, but, they're going to have to do some things to make that weight cut a little easier for him. And also, to be fair, Foster was not only dealing with that, but also an injury to his arm. He caught an elbow, and it was, you saw him kind of shaking the arm a lot during the fight. Mm-hmm. So, he was dealing with a lot in there, and you got to give credit to him for pulling it out.
Listen, on that card also was Bruce Carrington, David. Chinga, man, Bruce Carrington looked badass. He reminds me of James Toney with that pullback counter style. He looked good. It seems like he's really, really loved in NYC. Is it safe to say that this is the next star from NYC? Because it looks like the community is just embracing him out there, man. He's loved out there.
Absolutely. Shoe stole the show. The crowd in the Hulu Theater, they went crazy for him, man. They were cheering for him during the fight. And when he got the knockout against Torres, the place erupted. It's been a long time since I've felt that energy in a live arena. And Shoe has it, man. I'm telling you right now, this kid, if he's moved right, if they keep him active, he's going to be a star. And he's already got the city behind him. He'll be filling out the main arena in Madison Square Garden pretty soon.
Yeah. Moving on to the zone, man, in Oaxaca, Mexico. I think that was the biggest event of the weekend. There was a lot of people that went out there. A lot of people were looking forward to this rematch, Gatito Curiel against Natshinga. Remember, Gatito Curiel won that. I think he was the 160th champion of Mexico last year. We were counting him down. He was the 160th champion of Mexico, and then he just lost it. Our friend Sophia was out there. She had a really good interview with Eddie Hearn. Shout out to Sophia. We'll see her again in Houston when we're covering the zone next month. But what did you think about that Gatito fight, man?
Oh, I thought it was awesome. It was a hell of a fight. It was hard to keep up with it, man, while I was taking notes during the fight. You're right. Curiel had that fight in the bag at the early.
He had it, man.
At least the early rounds. He had full control of it. But I think Nonshinga basically rope-a-doped him. And I remember the analysts criticizing Nonshinga, questioning him, why would you stay on the inside? This is Curiel's game. But the amount of energy Curiel was using to stay on the inside, to keep pressing Nonshinga against the ropes, and the punches, he was throwing every punch with power. And you really have to have a special engine to be able to do that without getting tired. And I think that's what happened with Curiel, man. He exhausted so much energy at the beginning of the fight, really just trying to knock Nonshinga out again. He used it all up before he got to the finish line. And Nonshinga was doing something very interesting. While he was inside, and he was doing pretty good covering up the shots, he was taking a lot of punches, but while he was inside, he was sneaking counters in between Curiel's flurries. And you could see Curiel's head snap back with those counters. That takes a lot out of you too in a long, tough fight. So I think Nonshinga basically rope-a-doped Curiel in front of his hometown, and he ended up getting the stoppage. It was a really, really good fight. I hope they do a third one.
Yeah, you know what? They didn't mention that. Maybe that's what happened, because Gatito seemed like he was in control. He was just wailing on this kid, and then Nonshinga quickly got all the momentum back on his end. All the momentum came to him, and it looked like Gatito was just energy spent. I mean, he was just dead. He couldn't do anything. You could see it in his face. He was exhausted. And then, yeah, he got the knockout. Maybe you're right. Maybe there's something to that. Lara fought that night as well, David. Mauricio Lara. He was in a very, very tough fight, very competitive. I loved it. It was a barn burner. In between one of the rounds, man, Lara got caught like in the last 10 seconds. I want to say it was the 7th round or something. And there was like 10 seconds left, and he had like a delayed liver shot. And that, it came out during the corner, and he was suffering. Nobody thought he could get up. The corner didn't think he was going to be able to get up. The announcer,
he's shaking his head like,
yeah,
okay.
I didn't.
I'm okay.
Yeah, because he was feeling that liver shot as he got in the stool. Well, he comes out and he has an amazing round. It was a great fight, but it was too little, too late. I think it ended in a draw. He hasn't looked good, in my opinion, David, since he won over in Europe, man. What do you think?
I thought Lara looked kind of shot to me, Mark. I think the years of boiling down 126 have taken their toll on him. He says that the 9-month inactivity actually hurt him in this fight. He felt slow. He felt sluggish. He looked slow. He looked sluggish. I don't know if 130 pounds is going to be the answer for him. Kind of looks like he's a spent bullet, so to speak. But I got to say this about Lugo. Him and Lugo make a good matchup together. I don't think Lugo is a world beater, though. And I'll tell you why. There were some points in the fight. Lugo was making Lara look like Larry Holmes. You saw Lara going on the jab, using some ring movement, bobbing and weaving, slipping some punches. When Lara's showing you defensive skills like that on your offense, it makes you question your ability as well. But no, man, Lugo showed a lot of heart. He was in it to win it. I agree with the draw. I think it was a good draw. It was hard to pick a winner in that fight. I thought it was very close. I think they should do it again.
ProBox TV, let's go on to that one. Our friend of the show, Ramon Cardenas, was out with Israel Picasso from the Romanza Boxing Gym. Cardenas ended up breaking Picasso's jaw for the stoppage. But in my opinion, I don't want to say he didn't look good, but I think he needs a lot more work with Julio. He totally changed his game plan, but that's why they went out with Julio Diaz, right? Because he's a slick fighter. He is a counter-punching slick fighter with great footwork. Now he's turned into more of a pressure, walk you down type of fighter, and I like it. It works for him. I think it's a good fit for him, but he was putting on a lot of pressure and not really doing much with it at the beginning. I think he was struggling with it a little bit, and he didn't implement his regular style. I'd like to see him use a little bit of both styles, but, you even heard Julio Diaz say, hey, man, you're putting the pressure on, but it doesn't mean anything if you're not doing shit when you get there. So I'd like to see him a couple of more fights where, just another training camp and clean a little bit more stuff up. What did you see, David?
I thought Ramon looked good. He looked good to me, man. I thought he won every round. He stopped the fighter
Definitely
that's
won
never
every
been
round.
stopped before. He just displayed overall better boxing skills and toughness than Picasso. And Picasso's a tough dude. He took some shots in there, man, that would have knocked out any other fighter. And even on the punch mark, the right hand that broke the jaw, I didn't even see Picasso's legs buckle.
No.
And that was a hell of a shot, man. So Picasso has a hell of a beard. The jawbone can only take so much, man. I think Ramon showed good power. I think his defense was really sharp. Picasso does have wide punches, but Ramon was picking them off, man. He was dodging. He showed really good defense. You're right. Joel Diaz brought some more like aggressiveness to Ramon's style. I want to, and you mentioned this earlier, I think it's a really good point. I want to see if Ramon can blend the two a little bit better. There's always an adjustment period when you're with a new trainer. You're not just going to pick up and adopt all the things that you talk about in training camp right on your first camp. It's going to take some time. Remember, they just started training together in January. So this is their first training camp together. I think there's going to be an adjustment period, but I see good things. I think Ronnie and Joel are gonna be a good team for Ramon, and I think he's gonna show some stuff at 122 pounds if he can continue to make the weight.
Yeah. Well, this was definitely a really, really big win for them. It was a title eliminator and puts them right in line for Inoue. I think, in the next couple of fights, he will blend the two together more. One thing that we did learn is he can take a different style and implement it. And I think maybe this could have been his best style anyway, the come forward pressure fighting. I think we'll see more knockouts from him. Maybe this could have been his natural style. Obviously, he's good at that slickness, and his soccer background makes his footwork a lot better. He's really good at that. But now we learned he's really good at this. So, yeah, when he blends them both together, it's going to be really, really, really dangerous.
Mark,
And shout out to Joel. Yes.
Shout out to Joel.
Let's go ahead and move on to boxing news and notes. Chisme, David. Shakur Stevens, who has nothing to do with this, he's just stirring up the pot. He leaked that 5 years ago, Teofimo's dad got knocked out by Keyshawn Davis. Now, I don't know why Shakur did this. A lot of people are looking at Tio and Davis and talking about them and focusing everything on them. People are telling Tio, you can't let Davis get away with this and everything, but everybody's kind of forgetting who put that out there. Now, Shakur Stevens is one of my favorite fighters, but this is pretty childish, man. This is a 5-year secret, David. Why he put that out there, I have no idea. I don't like this from Shakur, but he continues being one of my favorite fighters.
I think we've all come to understand Shakur's a little immature. You can see it with his retirement announcement, and then 13 days later he's back. Everything's okay. This is kind of an immature move. If Davis was able to keep this under wraps for 5 years, that tells me it's not something that he's proud of, and this is something that should have stayed buried. And I don't know what happened. I don't want to know what happened. That's a real personal thing. And knocking out a 50-something-year-old man, that's not even something to say hang your hat on or something to really laugh at. Moving on.
Yeah.
Nothing to see here, folks.
Big Baby Anderson, who does not love boxing, is set to fight in Corpus Christi April the 13th. Listen, David, if this guy puts on a big show, the Prince out there is probably going to come a-calling. He knows it. You think it's maybe going to change his tune about loving boxing once the Prince out there shows him them big millions?
Or if anything, at least just take it seriously for the next couple of years, because you can still have your exit plan, right? You can still have your exit plan. You want to be out by a certain time. Let's remember, Mikey Garcia, he wasn't crazy about boxing. Boxing was not a sport that he loved. He was just good at it. That sounds like Jared Anderson's situation. And Mikey had a good career, multi-divisional champ, made good money, and left the sport with everything intact. And he's financially secure. I think Jared Anderson, you can expect the same from him. He's a guy that shows that he has talent, he has skills, and you know what? If he can put himself in line for one of those big checks in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, all the better for him, man. So I think it's even more of a motivator to make sure that he's putting on a show and he can catch the Turkey a la Sheik's attention.
Yeah, I think he's going to be definitely motivated to put on a big show out there in April in Corpus just to get that. I mean, right now he is hot for these fights, and this is his favorite division, heavyweight, and everybody's been making a big stink about Big Baby Anderson, and he's going to want to put him out there once he has a big performance in Corpus Christi. In more news, Bob Santos tells Boxing Scene Mario Barrios is ready for Ennis, and he sees a repeat of Zab versus Costa Zoo. Barrios playing the Costa Zoo role, obviously, way back when. Remember, Costa Zoo knocked out Zab Judah and kind of put a monkey wrench in his plans there. I believe Bob Santos is on to something. He must see something in Ennis that he can maybe expose. Remember, Bob Santos was a trainer of the year maybe a year ago or 2 years ago with Ring Magazine. He's one of the most respected trainers out there. Barrios is a hell of a fighter too and very smart. I think that duo has what it takes to beat Ennis. What do you think, Dave?
I don't think so. All credit, no disrespect to Bob Santos. Great boxing mind, way better than mine. But I mean, he's talking about his fighter, right? Like he's working with this guy. So he's going to be a little biased, of course. All in all, man, I think Ennis is a special talent. I don't think there's anybody at welterweight right now that's going to give him any problems. Maybe outside of Stanionis. I think maybe Stanionis could be a guy that could put up a really good fight. He's a proven welterweight. I don't see Barrios as a real proven welterweight yet. He's still kind of a fringe contender to me. His biggest win at 147 is an old, faded Ugas. So to take on a guy with the skill set, the youth, the strength of Ennis, I think it's a tall task. But I know one thing for sure, man. Barrios will give us a good fight. So, good luck to him if he does take that fight.
Yeah, man, I hope so. It'd be a good thing for Texas. Another good thing for Texas, Houston legend Jamal announces the Canelo fight. Cuate Jamal announces the Canelo fight, but Canelo hasn't actually announced it or anybody else. What does this mean, man? I hope that this is true because one, it's good for Texas, and you know how I feel, man. It's good for Houston, and I'm a big fan of the Cuates, right? Now, if this happens, I like it because it's an easier win for Canelo and paves the way for him and Crawford. That way he doesn't take too much damage going up against a Crawford in September. I would like to see a Crawford, Canelo in September, the two biggest fighters on the planet. So it's a win-win for me.
So you think this is a good fight because it's an easy win for Canelo?
Yes, and also because I'm a big fan of Cuate, and Cuate's from Houston, and it's a win-win.
He's gonna lose easily.
Imagine if Cuate wins for, you see the Super Bowl, the Niners guy running onto the field from the sideline. He freaking tore his Achilles tendon. Freak accidents happen. And if a freak accident happens and Cuate wins, I'm going to be happy. But all in all, it probably won't happen. And this seems like an easy path to Crawford for me.
So I don't care about easy fights for anybody. I get if you have, those stay busy fights.
This is definitely a stay busy.
Yeah, that's what it would be if it were to happen. And I don't see Charlo really having a chance in this fight either. I mean, I guess all fighters have a chance when it comes to boxing, but I would not put money on Charlo to win anything against Canelo. So I don't see that as being competitive, and I don't care to see non-competitive fights. If that fight happens, great for Charlo, but I'm not buying it. So I would rather pass on that. I want to see Canelo. Canelo's in the twilight of his career in my eyes. He says he has 2 more years or so in the sport, maybe 5 more fights. I want to see those fights. I want to see him close out his career. And I just think he has too many contenders in his weight division to ignore them and fight fighters from other weight divisions. He's already had a fight with Ryder. He's already had a fight with Jermell. How many more soft touches do you need? it's time to take a contender on. And right now,
Was it
one of
Ryder?
them is named.
Was
One
it
of them
Ryder
is
a
named.
mandatory?
Excuse me.
Wasn't Ryder a mandatory?
Yeah, but I mean, nobody considered Ryder a threat to beat Canelo. Right? That's what I'm saying. Nobody. I mean, we thought Jermell was going to give Canelo a good fight, but we didn't think Jermell was going to win. Like, I don't want to see fights that you're a heavy favorite to beat. Like, I don't. That doesn't do anything for me. What am I watching for? If I'm watching something where the outcome is already known, you don't go to a movie knowing how it's going to end, right? You don't go to watch a movie that if you already know the ending. That's how I feel about boxing. I don't want to know the ending. I want to anticipate the ending. Now, sometimes there are fights when you know what the ending is going to be, because not every fighter can take tough fight after tough fight after tough fight. But we're talking about 2 fights in a row that Canelo has had, Ryder and Jermell, where he was a heavy favorite to win. And now if he fights the other Charlo, he's going to be another heavy favorite to win. That to me is boring. I don't want to see that. I would rather see him take on Munguia, Benavidez, or anybody else at 168 pounds that actually has a shot to win.
Do you believe the text from the Cuate Jamal?
I don't know. He actually sounded drunk to me when he was talking on Instagram about not having this fight finalized. I don't know what to believe if anything's coming from Jamal, man. He doesn't seem like a credible source.
It'd be more believable if Canelo came out with it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope we're onto something, though, because it's a big statement to put out there. Anyway, in similar news, the WBC is going to make Benavidez the official mandatory challenger in March for Canelo's WBC belt. What does that have? What does that mean, David?
You said it a long time ago. Canelo's going to do what Canelo's want to do. Actually, he said this himself. I'm the king and I do what I want.
Yeah, he moves. He makes
no one's going to make or force Canelo to do anything. They can make Benavidez the mandatory all they want. That doesn't mean that Canelo is going to automatically want to fight him, because the only person that stands to lose anything is the WBC. All of these belt organizations, they get a percentage of a fighter's check. 2%, 5%, whatever it is. A percentage of Canelo's check will always be bigger than another fighter's check. I would be very, very interested and even proud of the WBC if they announce this mandatory, they get it set, Canelo doesn't follow through on it, and if they were to strip Canelo, I would be very surprised if that happens, but I would also applaud them because that shows integrity. But I don't expect it to happen.
Yeah, I really wish we would get a little more light shed on what's really going to happen with Canelo. Who's he going to fight? We're here talking about the Crawford and the Benavidez. There's not even any money out there in the escrow account for Canelo to do anything. So what the hell are we talking about?
So that's what I was going to say, bro. I was going to say that.
Yeah, man.
We're going to find out in a week what Canelo's move is going to be. There is an issue. I mean, there's some people were anticipating this during Canelo's interview on Mexican TV with TV Azteca. But it turns out there might be an issue with guaranteeing Canelo his money. So he might not even be fighting any of these PBC guys to begin with. But again, it's all speculation. We don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, we could be all riled up about stuff and nothing's going to come of it.
Yeah, man. We don't even know. Maybe this all leads to a reunion of Oscar de la Hoya and Canelo. That'd be great. Anyway, guys, this is that show this week. That's the show this week. We have, 549 subscribers right now. Go ahead and please leave comments, like, and subscribe. Give us that 3-punch combo, man. Like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week.
Peace.